What if I told you that the very health checkups we've always trusted could actually shorten your life after the age of 70? That's not just a wild claim. It's a growing realization backed by hard truth and real stories, stories that begin with good intentions but end in quiet suffering. For many seniors, routine exams have quietly transformed from life-saving to life-draining. That's where the journey begins, rethinking everything we thought we knew about senior health tests. Last Saturday, I took my 84-year-old mother, Ruth, for her annual checkup. Just like every year, she fasted the night before, sat through lab draws, and waited anxiously for results she didn't fully understand. The doctor recommended more testing because of a slight cholesterol rise, but something inside me paused. I asked gently, "Doctor, is this test truly necessary at her age?" He hesitated, then admitted, "Not always. The older the patient, the more carefully we need to weigh benefit against harm." That one moment opened the floodgates to a conversation rarely had, the hidden side of health checkups seniors undergo out of habit, not necessity. According to a recent study often compared to the Mayo Clinic of the West, over 68% of seniors past 70 receive unnecessary tests. These tests often don't lead to better care. In fact, they can trigger overdiagnosis, unwarranted treatments, or even surgical complications. The truth is, health protocols often apply a one-size-fits-all model designed for younger adults, and seniors are paying the price. Your body at 45 is not the same as your body at 75, yet the yardstick remains unchanged. This disconnect is causing emotional and physical strain that older adults quietly carry. We need to bring in a new kind of clarity. A clarity born from elderly wisdom, the kind that understands the difference between living long and living well. Take my friend Martin, age 77. His scan picked up a shadow on his lung. For the next 6 months, he spiraled through anxiety, hospital visits, and sleepless nights. The final result? A harmless spot, but the psychological damage was done. "I thought I was dying every day," he said, "and all for nothing." These are not just senior medical risks. They are the scars of unnecessary testing. This is where elderly wisdom must lead the way, asking not just, "Can we test for it?" but "Should we?" Over the next few parts, we'll uncover the 5 essential senior tests that truly matter after 70. But just as important, we'll explore why so many tests are quietly harming seniors and what true longevity testing seniors should really look like. Because after 70, the rules change, and so must our approach. If you're ready to rethink everything you've been told about health checkups, then stay with me. Because the next part may just save you years of unnecessary fear, cost, and pain. Let's go deeper. Because what we're talking about isn't just an inconvenience. It's a quiet erosion of peace, time, and in many cases, health itself. There's a term in the medical world few outside it hear often: overdiagnosis. It means detecting abnormalities that would never have caused harm. But once they're found, we can't unsee them. And we rarely stop at seeing. We act, we treat, we medicate, we worry. And for seniors, that worry can become a shadow that never lifts. Let me tell you about someone I once knew. Her name was Linda May, 74 years old. A woman who took every piece of health advice to heart. She exercised, ate well, and never missed a physical. Her diligence earned her the label model patient. Until one year, a routine blood test showed a slight irregularity. It was probably nothing, but protocol kicked in. More tests, more opinions. Eventually, a biopsy. That biopsy led to an infection. She ended up on strong antibiotics, which damaged her gut's microbial balance. Linda spent the next 8 months battling digestive issues. The final verdict? The irregularity was harmless. "The exam made me sick," she said. Those words never left me. This is what elderly wisdom teaches us. Not every anomaly deserves a war. And sometimes, the war costs more than the threat ever. What if you see, after 70, our bodies change? The numbers we once used to define normal are no longer one size fits all. A slightly elevated cholesterol level? In people over 70, it's often linked to better survival, not worse. But health checkups for seniors often still cling to outdated standards, designed for 30-year-olds. This brings us to the senior medical risks we rarely talk about. The tests themselves. Take colonoscopies. In younger people, the risks are low. But after 80, the chance of complications, like bowel perforation, increases fourfold. Think about that. A test meant to prevent disease could actually become the cause of trauma in an aging body. Medication is no exception. Ruth, my mother, was once prescribed statins for mild cholesterol elevation. Within weeks, she developed muscle weakness and joint pain. Turns out that dosage, perfectly safe for a 50-year-old, was far too aggressive for her body. When she stopped the medication, the pain faded and her body felt like her own again. Then there's the financial burden. One of my neighbors, George, was planning a year-long trip after retirement. He ended up spending almost all of his savings on follow-up tests and prescriptions, prompted by one questionable scan. "It was supposed to help me live longer," he said. Instead, it stole a year of living. And perhaps the most insidious cost is psychological stress, waiting for results. Wondering if a number just slightly out of range means something. Deadly. This kind of fear weighs on the immune system, strains relationships, and pulls joy out of the present moment. These are not isolated stories. This is a pattern. A pattern where health checkups seniors receive are rarely adjusted to their phase of life, where essential senior tests get buried beneath a mountain of routine exams, where we've stopped asking, is this test helping me live longer or just making me live more cautiously? This is the heart of elderly wisdom. Not fear, not denial, but discernment. Knowing which tests are truly essential. Knowing when to say, no, thank you. And trusting that your life isn't measured by how many scans you've had, but by the strength to choose how you want to live the years ahead. In the next part, we'll talk about the 5 essential senior tests, the ones that actually improve quality of life and increase your odds of healthy aging health. These are the exams worth your time, your energy, and your focus. And they might surprise you. Stay with me. The best part is coming. Now that we've sifted through the noise, let's focus on what's truly essential. Because while too many tests can harm, the right ones done with care, timing, and intention can empower. This isn't about abandoning health checkups. It's about choosing wisely. Elderly wisdom isn't about resisting change. It's about knowing what change is worth your attention. So here are 5 essential senior tests every person over 70 should consider. Not because they guarantee longevity, but because they offer clarity where it counts. The first is simple, yet life-saving. Blood pressure monitoring. High blood pressure is a silent thief. No symptoms, no early warnings, yet it can lead to strokes, heart attacks, or cognitive decline without notice. That's why I began tracking my father's blood pressure every morning. At first, it felt like a chore, but over time, it became a ritual, a quiet check-in between him and his body. "I can feel my condition just by the numbers," he once said. And it gave him a sense of control no test result ever had. This is the kind of health checkup seniors actually need, non-invasive, affordable, and reflective of real, daily wellness. Second on the list, diabetes screening. Type 2 diabetes, when unnoticed, can quietly deteriorate nearly every system in the body. But here's the hopeful part. When caught early, it's often reversible with lifestyle changes. Take Mr. Clarence, our neighbor. Diagnosed at 75, he refused to panic. Instead, he walked every morning, 30 minutes a day. In less than a year, his blood sugar stabilized without a single pill. My diabetes turned out to be a blessing in disguise, he told me. It woke me up. That's elderly wisdom again turning. Challenges into turning points. Now, the third test, bone density scan. We don't talk enough about bones in aging. But weak bones are silent risks, especially in women post-menopause. A fall that once left a bruise at 40 can fracture a hip at 80, and those fractures often lead to bed rest, loss of independence, or worse. My Aunt Georgia was diagnosed with osteoporosis at 66. Since then, she's been taking calcium and vitamin D, walking every day. Now, at 79, she still climbs stairs with ease. That's what proactive aging looks like. It's not dramatic. It's disciplined. Fourth, hearing and vision tests. You might wonder, why do these matter so much? Because our senses are how we stay connected to the world. When hearing fades, conversations become effort. When vision blurs, reading, walking, even recognizing faces gets harder, and isolation creeps in. My uncle, Howard, resisted hearing aids for years. "I'm fine," he'd say, but he became quieter, more withdrawn. Eventually, he gave in. The first day he wore them, he smiled more than I'd seen in months. His world got louder and brighter. This is about more than detection. It's about preservation of connection, of identity, of life. Finally, the fifth test. Depression screening. Depression in seniors is often mistaken for just getting old. But it's not. It's real. And it's treatable. My mother, after my father passed, began to unravel quietly. Insomnia, low energy, a withdrawal from the things she once loved. We thought it was just grief. But a simple depression screening led to therapy and medication, and gradually, she returned to herself. I didn't know I was drowning until someone reached in. She told me mental health is health. And for those navigating the second half of life, that truth matters more than ever. So there they are, 5 essential senior tests. Not because a checklist makes you healthy, but because these tests actually align with what your body needs after 70. They are rooted in elderly wisdom, adapted for senior health risks, and aimed not just at extending lifespan after 70, but improving it. And yet, even these tests are not set in stone. They must be guided by context, your family history, your lifestyle, your values. By now, you've seen the difference. Some tests protect you, others pressure you. But what makes the biggest difference after 70 isn't just which tests you choose. It's how you choose them. This is where real elderly wisdom comes in. It's not found in a clinic's checklist or a lab's results. It's found in understanding that your health is not a general rule. It's a personal story. Take Mr. Everett, 78, a man with deep roots in a family history of heart disease. Both of his parents died of cardiac conditions before 65. Because of that, he still gets regular cardiovascular screenings, his choice, guided by risk. But he no longer does cancer screenings that don't align with his health priorities. "I know what's likely to affect me," he told me. "I'd rather spend my time and energy where it counts." That's a man who understands the real meaning of senior health tests. This approach isn't about doing less. It's about doing smarter. It's about tailoring essential senior tests to your personal journey. If you've been a smoker for decades, a lung screening might be wise. If you worked under the sun, a skin cancer check matters. If a sibling had colon cancer, consider keeping that test in rotation. These aren't just tests. They're choices. And they must come from self-awareness, not fear. This is how you stretch lifespan after 70, not just in years, but in quality. Let me say something else that rarely gets mentioned when we talk about health checkups for seniors. Medication monitoring. Many seniors are taking daily prescriptions. But how often are the effects of those medications reevaluated? My Aunt June has been on arthritis medication for years. It helps, but every 6 months, she gets a liver function test. Why? Because she knows that healing one part of her body should never quietly harm another. That's the kind of healthy aging health we rarely talk about: long-term safety, not short-term relief. And here's something practical, something you can start right now. Before any medical visit, write down your questions. Is this test truly necessary for someone my age? What are the risks if I skip it? Will this result change how I'm treated? Is there a safer alternative? You'd be surprised how much clarity those questions bring. Doctors appreciate when seniors speak with intention. It turns medical visits into conversations, not commands. And once you've made those decisions, document them. I keep a simple health journal for my parents. It's not fancy, just dates, medications, test results, and how they felt afterward. But it's gold during appointments. Because as memory fades, records remain. But even with all the tests and all the tracking, one truth stays the same. How you live every single day still matters more than any result ever will. So as we move into the next part, I want to shift our focus from tests and clinics to habits and homes. Because prevention doesn't begin in hospitals. It begins in the way we move, eat, rest, and connect. And that may be the most powerful prescription of all. Don't go anywhere. What comes next may quietly transform the rest of your life. You see, once you reach a certain age, the conversation around health can no longer be just about tests and numbers. The real longevity testing seniors need often begins in their own homes, with their own hands, feet, thoughts, and routines. Because while checkups can catch problems, it's your daily choices that prevent them from starting in the first place. Let me tell you about Mr. Solomon, a retired teacher who lives 2 doors down. He's 92 now, and every morning, rain or shine, he takes a slow, deliberate walk around the park 3 times. When I once asked him what kept him so consistent, he smiled and said, "Medicine is good, but my legs are better medicine." That's elderly wisdom spoken with certainty. He doesn't have a drawer full of supplements. He has a routine, movement, fresh air, a rhythm to his days, and he rarely visits the hospital. Not because he's lucky, but because he's intentional. Not everyone can do what Mr. Solomon does, but everyone can do something. Low-impact activities like water aerobics, chair yoga, or indoor cycling can help those with joint pain or limited mobility. My mother was diagnosed with arthritis at 73. At first, she feared movement would worsen her condition. But the opposite happened. With every small stretch and swim, her strength came back. "I was afraid to move," she once said. But not moving was the real pain. Healthy aging health is built on small victories, repeated daily. Nutrition is another pillar. As we age, our bodies process protein differently. Muscle mass naturally declines, making protein intake more essential than ever. But here's the reality: many seniors struggle to chew meat or digest heavy meals. That's why we've shifted my mom's meals to include more fish, eggs, soft tofu, and beans. Easy to chew, easy to digest, and gentle on the stomach. It's not about eating more, it's about eating smart. Hydration, too, becomes a silent challenge. The older we get, the duller our thirst signal becomes. Dehydration creeps in, often disguised as fatigue or dizziness. So, we set simple reminders. My father drinks a glass of water every 2 hours at first, out of habit. Now, it's instinct. And the benefits? Fewer headaches, better digestion, brighter skin, all from something so basic, than their sleep. A good night's rest is a foundation for everything else. But many seniors battle insomnia without even knowing why. For my mother, it was caffeine and late night TV, Once we replaced both with warm milk, gentle music, and soft evening lights, sleep came back like an old friend she thought she'd lost forever. But beyond the body, we must speak about the mind. Loneliness is a quiet disease. Studies now show it's as damaging as smoking. No exaggeration. That's why, at 77, my mom joined a local choir. She wasn't sure at first, worried she'd forgotten how to sing, or worse, how to belong. But after a few rehearsals, she began to light up again. "Singing makes me feel young," she whispered to me once, eyes wet with joy. That's the power of connection. That's health. At its core, elderly wisdom is knowing that no single test, no pill, and no hospital visit will ever matter more than how you live between them. Which brings me to one of the most powerful tools we've ever tried, the Wellness Journal. Every morning, my parents write down 4 simple things: how they slept, how they feel, any pain or discomfort, their mood. It takes 5 minutes, but it gives them something no checkup ever did: a direct line to their own bodies. Patterns become clear. Triggers are identified. They begin to connect the dots. And in doing so, they become the experts of their own health. You don't need fancy apps. Just a pen, paper, and a few quiet minutes. And in the final part, we'll talk about what truly defines health after 70. Because it's not just about surviving longer, it's about preserving the joy in being alive. A deeper truth awaits. Stay with me. Here's the truth most never say out loud. After 70, health is no longer about fixing everything that might go wrong. It's about preserving what makes life worth living. That quiet joy of holding your grandchild. The warmth of morning sunlight on your face. The simple pride of making your own coffee, your own way. That's what elderly wisdom teaches us. Health is not just the absence of disease. It's the presence of meaning. Take the story of Mr. Malcolm, 88 years old. During a routine colon cancer screening, doctors found something suspicious. They recommended immediate surgery. But Mr. Malcolm paused. He thought about his limited time, his family, and what recovery would take from him. He asked his doctor, "Is this going to extend my life or just stretch it in a hospital bed?" They had a long conversation. And in the end, he chose not to have surgery. Instead, he focused on symptom relief, on moments that mattered. In the 2 years that followed, he played chess with his grandchildren, finished a book he had started decades ago, and finally took that road trip to Maine he always dreamed of. When he passed, it was peacefully, surrounded by the things and people he loved, not in pain, not hooked to machines. But in life, that too is health. Because when we speak of lifespan after 70, we cannot separate it from quality. The strength to walk without fear, the freedom to choose your schedule, the comfort of knowing you are still needed, still seen. My mother said it best. To me, health is the strength to hold my grandbaby, the joy of tending my garden, and the peace of laughing over tea with an old friend. We chase so many numbers: blood pressure, blood sugar, scan results. But the most important numbers are the ones we don't measure. How many times did you laugh this week? How often did you feel connected? How deeply did you sleep? Last night? When we focus only on tests, we risk losing sight of what we're testing for. Not just a longer life, but a life that still feels like your own. So here's the invitation. Let go of fear-based medicine. Embrace informed, purposeful care. Replace blind obedience with meaningful questions. Trade excessive treatment for thoughtful action. Build your own plan based on your story. Track only what matters. Move every day, even a little. Stay hydrated. Sleep deeply. Eat wisely. Connect with people. And most of all, keep doing what makes you feel alive. That is the true foundation of healthy aging health. That is the gift of elderly wisdom. If this message stirred something in you, if it made you rethink the role of tests, the meaning of longevity, or the path you're on, please support this channel. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss what's next. And share this with someone you love, someone over 70 who deserves to live wisely, not fearfully, because the second half of life can be the richest. Not because it's perfect, but because it's yours. And sometimes, that's all the healing we really need. Let's go one step further. Because even after you've chosen the right senior health tests, embraced movement, improved sleep, and created rituals of care, there's still one element that holds everything together. Purpose. Not a job, not a title, but a reason. A reason. To get up in the morning, to put on your shoes, to greet the world with more than just habit. And this, more than any test or treatment, is what stretches not just the number of our days, but the meaning within them. I want to tell you about Mrs. Celeste, age 73. After retiring and losing her husband within a span of 2 years, she fell into silence. Her days grew long, her energy dulled. Her children worried, and so did her doctor. But no amount of medication sparked her spirit. That came from a place they never expected. One morning, she joined a reading group at the local elementary school. Just once, but something awakened in her. The sound of children laughing, the joy of storytelling, the gratitude in their eyes. It gave her something she hadn't felt in years. She began volunteering every week, then every day. I never knew. I was still needed, she told me once. But now I do. That's elderly wisdom in motion, finding light, not in what's lost, but in what can still be given. We often speak of extending life, but what is the use of longevity without joy? What are the benefits of clean lab reports if the heart is quietly tired? You see, essential senior tests aren't just physical. They're emotional and spiritual too. Ask yourself, am I still growing, learning, connecting? Am I still part of something beyond myself? When I look at my week, is there something I'm excited about? These aren't luxuries. They are medicine, just in a different form. Science now confirms what ancient cultures have known all along. Social bonds, meaning, laughter, and purpose play as strong a role in healthy aging health as diet and exercise. In fact, some studies show that seniors who maintain a sense of purpose reduce their risk of Alzheimer's, depression, and even heart disease. So maybe it's not the test that adds years. It's the choir practice, the volunteer shift, the garden project, the story you finally decide to write. Maybe that's the kind of longevity testing seniors need most. The kind that asks, are you still living from the inside out? Here's what I've come to believe after walking this road with my parents, neighbors, and elders in my life. Real health is never passive. It's chosen, cultivated, protected, not in big, flashy moments, but in the small, persistent ones. In showing up, in saying yes, in refusing to disappear. And if no one has told you this to these, please hear it. Now, you still matter. Your story still matters. And the way you choose to live the rest of your life can still be a masterpiece. So if this message meant something to you, pass it forward. Let's make sure more seniors walk into their next decade, not with fear, but with fire. Like this video. Subscribe. Ring the bell so you never miss another message. And most of all, share this with someone you care about. Because after all the tests are done, after the charts are filed away, what remains is how you live. And that is the final test worth passing. Let's bring it all home now, not with more data, not with more diagnoses, but with something far more powerful, courage. Because the truth is, the bravest thing a person over 70 can do is not to submit to every test or blindly follow every recommendation. No, the real act of courage is to pause, reflect, and ask, what do I want the rest of my life to feel like? That question changes everything. Take Mr. Daniel, 81, a quiet man, a widower, a former auto mechanic who rarely spoke about his health. For years, his children pushed him to get every screening imaginable: cancer, brain scans, stress tests, and he did it. Until one day, he looked at me and said, "I'm tired of being looked at like a machine. I want to be treated like a person again." So he stopped chasing tests. He started chasing mornings at the lake. He fixed an old bicycle. He taught his neighbor's son how to change spark plugs. He smiled more. And at his next checkup, his blood pressure was the lowest it had been. Years, no new medication, just renewed joy. This is what elderly wisdom really means. It means choosing not just health, but wholeness. It means asking not, "What's wrong with me?" but "What's still right?" And it means understanding that after a certain age, your presence is more important than your performance. That doesn't mean abandoning medical care. It means personalizing it, trusting your instincts, working with your doctor, not just listening, but participating. It means seeing health checkups for seniors not as orders, but as tools. And you choose which ones you use. You've heard the phrase, aging gracefully. But I want to offer something bolder: aging intentionally. Because grace is passive. Intention is powerful. It means being clear about what brings you peace, what you're willing to fight for, and what you're ready to let go of. Ask yourself, do my habits reflect the kind of life I want to live? Are my appointments driven by fear or by wisdom? Am I making space for healing, not just in body, but in mind, in soul, in spirit? Because here's what we've learned together through every part of this journey: that not all tests after 70 help, that some can hurt more than they heal, that essential senior tests are few but incredibly powerful, that healthy aging health means more than checkboxes, that the mind, the body, the heart, and community all deserve care. And that lifespan after 70 is not measured by years alone, but by how deeply you live them. So, whether you're 70, 80, or even 90, remember this: you still have choices. You still have agency. And yes, you still have time. Time to move gently. Time to listen inward. Time to laugh loudly. Time to live bravely. If today's message reminded you of someone you care about, someone walking through this season of life, please send it to them. Let them know they're not alone. Let them know that what they feel matters. Let them know that their life, just as it is, still has infinite value. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click the bell so you can keep walking with us in future videos. And if this touched your heart in some way, leave a comment. Tell us your story. This is not just a video. It's a conversation. One voice at a time. And if there's one thing I want you to remember above all else, it's this: you are not a diagnosis. You are a soul. You are not a number. You are a name. You are not just aging. You are becoming. And that is the greatest wisdom of all. As we reach the close of this journey, let's take one last pause, not to reflect on test results or routines or even advice, but on something far more subtle and far more sacred: the signals your own body gives you. Because after everything we've shared, the 5 essential senior tests, the senior medical risks, the stories of wisdom and strength, what it all comes down to is this: the ability to listen to yourself. It may seem small, but it's revolutionary. Let me tell you about Ms. Eloise. She's 79, lives alone, and keeps a little diary by her bedside. Each morning, she writes down 4 things: how she slept, whether she feels pain, her mood, and what she ate the night before. At first, it seemed like nothing, but over time, patterns appeared. She realized coffee after 4 p.m. gave her restless sleep, that salt-heavy meals triggered joint stiffness, that days without sunlight affected her mood more than she'd ever realized. She once told me, I don't need a doctor to tell me everything. I just need to pay attention. That's elderly wisdom at its finest. You see, we've been trained to believe that health lives in hospitals, that doctors know best, that machines catch what we miss. But sometimes, the most powerful tool you'll ever use is stillness, awareness. That soft inner voice that says, today doesn't feel right. Or, just as important, today I feel good. We lose that voice when we rush. When we fill our days with appointments and tests and prescriptions without asking why. But the more we slow down and listen, the more we begin to notice what truly matters and what truly doesn't. This kind of presence is rare. And yet, it changes everything. It helps you know when to say yes to a test and when to decline. It helps you notice when a medication is helping or harming. It helps you know when fatigue is physical or maybe emotional. It helps you live, not in fear but in truth. This is the path of healthy aging health, not driven by panic, but by pattern, by intuition, by connection, and it doesn't take much to begin. Start with a simple notebook, or a daily walk where you check in with your body, or 5 minutes of silence where you ask, how am I, really? These are not just routines. These are acts of self-care that no medical test can replace. And the beauty of it, this kind of care is free. It's quiet. It's yours. And it works. So as we close this final part, let me say this one last time. You are not powerless in your health. You never were. You've simply been told to look everywhere but within. But now, you know where to look. You've heard the stories. You've felt the truth. You've seen what real longevity testing seniors means. And you've gained not just information, but understanding. If this series opened your eyes or softened your heart, please pass it on. Let someone else walk this path with you. Like the video to show your support. Subscribe to the channel for more elderly wisdom and heart-centered guidance. Tap the bell so you never miss what's next. And most importantly, share your story in the comments below. You never know who you might inspire, because your life, your experience, your voice, it matters now more than ever. And maybe, just maybe, your quietest habits will become your loudest legacy. So here we are, at the end, and yet also the beginning. You've heard the stories. You've reflected on the 5 essential senior tests that matter most. You've seen the hidden dangers of too many health checkups seniors don't actually need. And through every moment, every quiet realization, a deeper truth is unfolded. You are the author of this chapter of your life. It doesn't belong to the hospital. It doesn't belong to the test results. It doesn't belong to anyone's expectations. It belongs to you. And that is the most powerful form of elderly wisdom we can ever claim. The courage to live with intention, not out of fear. To say yes to what brings you peace and no to what steals it. To rise each morning not thinking, what's wrong with me today? But what still feels right and beautiful and worth showing up for. There's a reason why the second half of life is often where the richest stories begin. Not because it's easy, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. And reality, when lived honestly, is freedom. You have everything you need already inside you. The strength to make wise decisions about senior medical risks. The clarity to focus on meaningful longevity testing seniors truly benefit from. The peace that comes from honoring your body, your habits, your rhythm. The resilience to rewrite what health looks like in your 70s, 80s, and beyond. So, go ahead. Keep the notebook. Take the walk. Sing in the choir. Rock in the chair. Dance if you feel like it. Cry if you need to. Laugh loudly when no one's looking, or especially when they are. And above all, choose the life that reflects who you are, not just how old you are. Because the greatest test, the only one that truly matters, is how well you love the time you've been given. That's what real healthy aging health is. That's what makes a life not just long, but deeply lived. And if this video gave you even a moment of clarity, comfort, or courage, please let us know. Like this video so we know it mattered. Subscribe to our channel for more quiet truths and real conversations. Hit the bell icon to stay connected with us. And share this with someone in your life who needs to hear. You are still becoming. Your legacy doesn't start when you're gone. It starts today with the grace, the power, and the presence you choose to bring into every ordinary moment. And from all of us here, we thank you for your time, your heart, your wisdom. We'll see you in the next story.